What's up, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a legacy deck centered around well, not really centered around one particular Pokemon, but it's a strategy that you guys might have heard of, the Ninetales Amoongus strategy, Ninetales from Next Destinies. Well, no, not Next Destinies, Dragons Exalted. The Amoongus is from Next Destinies, and I have decided to make my own little twist on it and throw in a Houndoom Prime. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe. It really does help us out a lot and lets us do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, I'm really starting to do more and more legacy decks as I've been able to get the cards for certain ones and get, well, in particular, like full arts and then Heart Gold, Soul Silver era cards, particularly Primes, which on a side note, I'm trying to do a deck with every single one of the Prime Pokemon. And I guess that's where my question of the day stems from. What is your, well, what Prime Pokemon do you really want to see me do a deck around? I've already done a deck around Crobat Prime, done a deck around Celebi Prime, and I think I'm missing one, but I might not be. That probably is just something I'm thinking of for the future. And then this one's around Houndoom Prime. Which Prime Pokemon do you want to see me do? And also, if you could, suggest a deck list that, or not necessarily a deck list, but suggest a deck or combination of cards that it could work well with. I mean, I really do like the Prime Pokemon. I think that their artwork is really, really cool, and I mean, I know that they're not that much different from like regular Pokemon. It's just like, oh, it's a Pokemon Prime, just cool artwork, this cool border thing and gold lettering. But what Prime Pokemon do you guys want to see me do a deck around? And if you could suggest a deck combination that it could work, and that'd be really greatly appreciated. And honestly, you'll have to bear with me. I won't be able to do that immediately because these Heart Gold, Soul Silver era cards are rather difficult to obtain. So I will put it in the queue. I just would like to hear what you guys would like to see in terms of Prime Pokemon and why, and then what type of deck you would like to see them in. But anyway, like I said, this deck is centered around, well, attacking, it's centered around Ninetales from Dragons Exalted, 90 HP with the Bright Look ability. That's an absolutely absurd ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon. So that's a free Lysander, that's a free catcher, it's a free reversal, whatever effect you want to call it, just by evolving your Pokemon. And I mean, that's just such a ridiculously good ability. Just be like, hey, that thing on the bench, bring it back in because I'm evolving. And then Hexed Flame is the attack we are focusing this entire deck around. 20 damage, does 50 more for each special condition attached to, or affecting, not attached to, affecting the defending Pokemon. Now, in general, you're only going to be like a Sleeper Poison, which can do like 120. I mean, that's decent. I mean, that's where Amoongus comes into play. With Spore Prize, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may use this ability. If you do, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Wow. Confused and poisoned. So there are two special conditions right there that you are able to take advantage of. One thing worth noting, you cannot confuse and sleep, confuse and paralyze. You cannot confuse, sleep, or paralyze. You can only have one of those three because that's how the card is placed, or at least that's how it's been working in the TCG. I don't do much in real life, so I don't know how that would work, but I'm pretty sure you can only have confused, paralyzed, or asleep. You cannot have two. So Amoongus goes ahead and puts a couple of status conditions on your opponent's Pokemon to where Hexed Flame can hit for 120, 150 if you attach a Silver Bangle, and then 160 into the next turn with the poison. But that isn't really enough to knock out a lot of EXs. I know if you combine it with Virbank City Gym, then you can get the magic you can get the magic 170, 180 numbers that you really need to actually knock out opposing Pokemon EX. But unfortunately, and sorry about that in the corner, I wasn't paying attention to where my mouse was going and it went over a tab and decided to show that. But either way, you need another status condition, and that is where I decided to bring Houndoom Prime into here with the Fire Breath Poke Power, not ability, it's a Poke Power. Once during your turn, you may flip a coin if heads a depending Pokemon is now burnt. Well, there is the third status condition. Amoonguss puts 2, and then Burn, Poison, and Confused is the max number of status conditions you can have. I mean, I don't think there's any other way to get 4 status conditions, but if you have 3, you are hitting for 170 damage. And then Poison, even without like the Silver Bangle or the Virbank City Gym, you're able to take knockouts on opposing Pokemon EX and stuff like that. So that these guys work incredibly in combination with each other, and it's a really, really, really cool deck that I've very much enjoyed using. Like, just having Lysander and Bright Look being able to use non-EXs to hit EXs and take knockouts on EXs is just a really, really cool combination. As for the numbers of these Pokemon, 2/2 of Houndour and Houndoom, because Houndoom's just something that sits on the bench and you can use every turn, so you really don't need that many of them. 4/4 of Vulpix and Ninetales. I'm running this Vulpix because Singe, the defending Pokemon, is now burnt. That's another way of getting that final status condition to be able to hit for that magic 170 with Hex Flame. And we're running 4 of the Ninetales because obviously this guy is our main attack. We want to run as many of them as possible. And then a little bit heavier of Foongus and Amoonguss, because Amoonguss, you need to evolve it, and then you need to play like Devolution Spray in order to be able to use it again. So you need to have multiple of these guys down in order to use their effect, in order to use their ability to greatest effect. So that's why we're running a little bit heavier of these guys than the Houndour Houndoom. As for the items, 1 Computer Search, 100% Computer Search. You can technically run Life Dew. I mean, you could, but you want to be running Silver Bangle on Ninetales more often than not. Actually, you almost always want to be doing that. So Computer Search is the A-spec of choice. Rock Guard also could get you those magic knockout numbers. I don't know, just if you have Computer Search, 100% use Computer Search. I'm just trying to think of potentially different A-specs you could use. You don't want to use Dowsing Machine because, I mean, there's your Dowsing Machine right there in Junk Arm, and you can use more than one of them. But yeah, definitely use Computer Search as your A-spec. We are also running 2 of the Devolution Spray, mainly for Amoonguss, but not gonna lie, it's really, really nice for Ninetales as well, being able to evolve Bright Look and then devolve and be able to have that Bright Look again ready for next turn. Mostly you use it for Amoonguss, but in a pinch you can use it with Ninetales. You're also running 3 Hypnotoxic Laser, and you might be thinking, well, Styx, you literally just told me that Sleep does not work with Confusion. Yes, but at the same time, I mean, it's still Hypnotoxic Laser, and we're already running Virbank in this deck, so why the heck would you not? And also, if you don't have an Amoonguss out, and you get the Sleep Flip, well, then that's still, then there you go. There's your 2 status conditions right there. But if you have an Amoonguss out, you already confused your opponent, or for whatever reason, you already confused your opponent and played your Amoonguss down, and then you play Hypnotoxic Laser, well, that doesn't get rid of any status conditions. It literally just replaces the confused with the sleep if you happen to get the coin flip. And also, you can use this before you're able to get Amoongusses out, or if you can't get them yet. So really, Hypnotoxic Laser is invaluable in this deck. I mean, Laser Bank is so ridiculously powerful in Legacy. I know I don't like splashing cards in a bunch of different decks, but Laser Bank is just way too powerful to forego. 4 Junk Arms to be able to reuse like the lasers, the PCOMs, the Devolution Sprays, all of that. 4 Level Balls, because everything in this deck, except for Houndoom Prime, can be searched out of the deck with Level Ball. And then if you need a Houndoom, well, you can get a PCOM for that. But Level Ball, main thing you want to use, because like I said, literally everything except for Houndoom Prime can be searched out with Level Ball, and you have enough ways of getting a Houndoom Prime that you really don't need to search it that much. 2 PCOMs as another way of searching out Pokemon. 2 random receivers to be able to get supporters when you need them. 1 Super Rod. Ooh, my trade was complete. I'm not sure what that is, but I'll check that later. 1 Super Rod, because Ninetales is going to be knocked out. It's way too frail. And yeah, you're going to be discarding some evolutions too, or evolutions. You're going to be discarding some evolutions with like Juniper and Junk Arm and stuff like that. Super Rod allows you to get those back into the deck. 2 Switch. Normally I only run 1, but you're running... Oh, I guess I usually run an Escape Rope and a Switch, but because you have Bright Look and you have Bright Look so readily available in this deck, you really don't want to use Escape Rope to force your opponent into something that you just Bright Looked them into. So I'm running 2 Switch in this deck to be able to get out of any situations that I don't want. And also, I want to be able to start with Vulpix. I want to get Houndour and Foongus out of the active spot without having to attach, so that is my way of doing that. 1 Tool Scrapper. if my opponent gets a Garbodor up, we are screwed, shuts off our abilities completely, and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. So Tool Scrapper is a way of being able to get rid of that tool. Then you can Bright Look in the Garbodor, poison and confuse it, and then knock it out, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So Tool Scrapper is a way of dealing with that. I'm running 2 N and 3 Juniper for draw support. Just Juniper is a way of getting a brand new hand, and is a way of disrupting my opponent if they pull too far ahead of us. And then 4 Ponce, because I mean Pont is just a phenomenal card in Legacy as draw support. I actually like it better than N and Juniper, which is why I'm running that as the highest number. 2 Virbank to help with some of the math with the poison. 2 Silver Bangle, again, to help with the math with Hexed Flame, be able to take the knockouts when I need them. And then 7 of the regular fire energies in order to be able to use Hexed Flame, because Hexed Flame only requires 1 energy, so you don't need to run that many, but you still need to run enough to get them when you need it. And by the way, this build of this deck auto loses to like Virizion Genesect. I mean, the Celogen, like Celebi Prime Virizion Genesect deck kind of auto beats this just because Virizion's Verdant Wind shuts off our ability to be able to hit for significant damage with Hexed Flame. So one thing that I would like to mention as a tech possibility is running a single copy of Victini in conjunction with Victory Piece as opposed to Computer Search. So I mean, I'm going to show that version of that deck, of this deck as well, but I prefer this version just because you don't run into Celogen that much. But if you are somebody who has the luck of always running into that build or just always running into Virizions, then 100% throw a Victini in there, able to one-shot the Virizion with a an Intensifying Burn. There you go. Yeah, it's able to one-shot Virizion with Intensifying Burn. You're able to bring that up nice and easy with Bright Looks. So just wanted to suggest that as a version of this deck if you're worried about Virizion. But either way, I'm going to show both versions of this deck. Let's just go ahead and see it in action. Well, it looks like it's going to be one of those days on the Legacy ladder. I have already gone up 70 points and haven't even flipped a coin in any of those matches. So fingers crossed that this one goes a little bit better. Again, guys, I'm sorry about some of the quality of the matches in my Legacy videos. I try. I spend around an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the video, trying to find good matches, but sometimes the Legacy ladders are just completely dead, and considering my opponent isn't even flipping a coin, looks like this one might just be another one where we get a win before my opponent even flips a coin. So that's unfortunate, but again, I'm trying, guys. I really am. But either way, we are going with it. Hey, we actually flip a coin. We do lose the coin flip. That is quite unfortunate because this deck really, really prefers to go first. In fact, there's 0 situations where you would want to go second. Either way, that is fine. My opponent, yep, is going to go first. So it's not the end of the world, especially because we get a very, very nice hand. Get a couple Vulpix, get a Houndour for setting up Ninetales and a Houndoom. The only thing that would be better would be an Amoongus, or not Amoongus, a Foongus. A Foongus Amoongus. Sorry, I make that joke way too much, and sorry. But either way, it looks like my opponent is obviously running a Fluffy Chomp deck. And I think we're actually, yeah, we could potentially be at the advantage in this matchup just because of the prize trade. Although if my opponent's able to like start chaining Garchomps, it really just comes down to whether or not I'm able to who's able to set up faster. And I think we should be able to set up faster due to the fact that we have stage 2s or stage 1s, and my opponent relies on stage 2s. My opponent does start with a Cleffa, so that's a pretty solid start for them. I mean, they have to have another Pokemon, obviously, but Cleffa is a pretty decent thing to start with, especially if you're running twins, because you can just eek until you set up, and my opponent just plays a laser. Ooh, that could be a little bit annoying. But okay, plays the Rescue Scarf on the Cleffa and just passes. Wow, my opponent must have had absolutely nothing, and I do get a Fire Energy. So yeah, I'm obviously going to Oak because I want to get a Foongus down. If I had a Foongus already, then that would be fine, and I draw into some pretty solid stuff, actually. Yeah, that's fine, and then I'm just going to go for a Singe on the Cleffa, and I mean, it really it doesn't really matter at all because we will be able to knock it out with the combination of Foongus and Virbank City Gym, even if my opponent does fall asleep, stay asleep, and then flip heads on the burn. So either way, I mean, we'll be able to knock it out just because we'll be able to poison it, laser, poison it, Virbank it, and my opponent just eeks. So, well, I mean, at least we played a match, but we're just going to end up winning, and even if we do, yeah, my opponent even flips tail on the burn. Like, it doesn't matter at all because I would have been able to simply throw down my Virbank City Gym, evolve my Foongus into Amoongus, poison that guy, and then just end the game right there. So, sorry that was a very, very quick match, but at least the deck kind of got to do something-ish. A little bit, maybe. Guys, help me out here. So, yeah, Legacy format is currently very, very dead today. However, that's not going to stop me. I'm just going to keep trying, and then I will be right back with another match. Well, 6 battles later and 60 versus points later after not being able to find a match that lasts longer than a coin flip, here we are at battle number 7. I mean, at least we made it through the coin flip, and my opponent hasn't forfeited yet, so that is always a plus. Start off with some pretty interesting stuff. I mean, you can see that I'm running the victory piece. This is for like a Victini version of the deck because, like I said in the beginning, Virizion Genesect really does shut this deck down completely. So since we're obviously not against that, I'm just going to go ahead and discard the V piece and get some okay stuff. Gonna get a Amoongus, or Foongus. Play that down, go ahead and Hypnotoxic Laser up that EV. Probably play the other Vulpix down and then just end my turn right there. But anyway, like I said in the deck list actually, well, what is it? Sorry, Virizion Genesect shuts this deck down completely. Blah, that's what I was trying to say. But yeah, Virizion shuts this deck down completely. So this is the Victini version of the deck where you have, I don't know, like with the combination of Bright Look, you at least have outs to Ninetales, or outs to Virizion EX instead of just auto losing to it. So, I mean, that's this version of the deck. Obviously, I didn't run into a Virizion Genesect deck, and I have not run into one yet. So, I would honestly go with the straight-up version, but if you just want to, like, hardcore play this deck repeatedly, I would suggest putting a Victini in there. And if you bring it to tournaments, definitely put Victini and V-Piece in there just because that gives you the options of being able to do stuff against Virizion Genesect. Why do I keep saying Ninetales? But anyway, Victini is for the Virizion Genesect matchup. That is what I'm trying to say. What I am just going to go ahead and do is unfortunately have to Skyla for a Juniper for next turn. So that's a bit unfortunate right there. I didn't have much of anything. My opponent will play a town map in... Oh, it's like a Donphan Flareon deck. That's actually kind of cool. My opponent will get 3 cards off of Sharon. Hopefully not be able to knock me out yet because that'd be kind of unfortunate. Plays the mirror on the silver mirror onto the Phanpy, and that is completely fine. My opponent will laser up my Vulpix, put it to sleep, doesn't really matter, and then just Vengeance for a whopping 20 damage. So it seems that my opponent and I haven't been able to get too much going at this point. I will have to discard a Houndoom Prime, which is very, very unfortunate. Because, I mean, I kind of would like the Houndoom Prime, but then I'm going to go ahead and switch into my other Vulpix, you know, the one that's not damaged, and then Juniper away the Victini and the Houndoom, and still get a whopping nothing. Well, that's actually really unfortunate that I haven't been able to draw much of anything at all in terms of getting a Ninetales going. However, I do have 3 statuses currently going on my opponent's Flareon, so that's... I mean, it's great. However, my opponent will be able to just immediately retreat out of that, so it kind of kills all of the work that I had been doing. And, okay, well, yeah, he'll be able to go into Donphan, take a knockout on my Vulpix, so that's slightly unfortunate, but I mean, what are you going to do? You get to go with what you got. Will get damage, and that's kind of cool. Combination of Mr. Mime and Donphan being able to completely mitigate the downside of the 1 damage Earthquake. So kudos to my opponent for using that. I do wonder why Flareon is in this deck, but I mean, hey, who am I to question? I do get another Vulpix, or I do get another Amoongus. Sorry, that's not a Vulpix. I'm just having all kinds of trouble with the Pokemon today, aren't I? And then I'm going to go ahead and Random Receiver for another N, Random Receiver again, see if I can get like a Juniper. I get an Oak. Yeah, that's good because I didn't want to give my opponent a new hand, and let's see if I can get... Well, there's a Level Ball in there, so that's something. Let's go ahead and Junk Arm, get rid of the Amoongus and the Fire Energy to grab the Level Ball so I can finally get a Ninetales up and attacking. And I don't think I'll be able to knock out this. Will I be able to knock out the Donphan? Because it'll be... I think it'll be close. So let's Super Rod back in Vulpix, Fire Energy, and the Amoongus, and my opponent actually forfeits. I am really not sure why my opponent forfeited there, because I don't think I would have been able to knock out the Donphan this turn. I would have just done 100 with Hexed Flame, and then 110 with the Poison, and then 120 coming back into my turn. So I really don't know why my opponent forfeited right there, but either way, we didn't get a single attack off and still managed to pull off the victory. That's kind of the story of the Legacy format for me today, so sorry about that. But either way, kind of got to show off what the deck does. However, let's go ahead and try to find one more and hopefully actually get this deck up and running the way it is supposed to. Well, got another 2 matches, and both of them forfeited before the coin flip, so I think that brings my grand total to 150 versus ladder points that I have received for doing absolutely nothing, simply clicking the find match button. So yeah, hopefully this one, great, this one will probably be another one because my opponent is just sitting on the coin flip, so that's really unfortunate. So probably will have to come back in, try to find another match. That is a cool Chansey coin. I'm not sure what that's from, so I mean, if you know what that's from, please leave a comment in the comment section, because that's... I know it looks kind of weird, and you're like, wait, why would you like Chansey? But I don't know, that coin just looks kind of cool. I kind of like the texture of it. That sounds weird. No, not the... Yeah, is that the texture? Is that texture? Because like the way it's like... I don't know, you see those little... like the crystalline look that it has, and we do lose the coin flip. And so, guys, we have made it past the coin flip. This is looking promising. Well, less promising because we lost the coin flip, but still promising. Given the fact that my opponent actually picked a side of the coin, and they are now taking their sweet time. So this is something. Either way, I mean, I'm gonna stick this out. I'm going until we get a good match in which I'm able to fully set up the deck. And wow, okay, this is gorgeous. So I start with 2 Vulpix, and a Foongus, and a Level Ball, so I'll be able to get a Houndour out immediately as well to hopefully get a full setup turn 1. And that's honestly all I could ask for at this point. My opponent, okay, playing Suicune, so this will be interesting. Suicune can hit for weakness, but it also takes an energy and a DCE to power up completely while I'm attacking with a single energy. So if I can... of course my opponent hits the Ether. Oh my gosh. Well, I honestly don't know why you would run Ether in any deck apart from like Speed Heatmore or Speed Rayquaza. I mean, that makes 0 sense to me. But, oh, okay. So this is a Safeguard deck that my opponent is running. That's kind of cool, especially given all of the EXs that are running around the Legacy format right now. However, I do have to point out that Garbodor is also so prevalent as well that you shut off Safeguard completely, and unless you're able to just knock that thing out immediately, and oh wow, this is awesome. So I'm going to PCOM, put the Ninetales back into my deck, grab a Houndour right now, play that sucker right down, and then I'm going to Level Ball. I can't decide if I want it probably for another Vulpix or Foongus. No, I think... Yeah, I think I want another Vulpix because my active one is more than likely going to go down to Suicune this turn. I'm going to attach the Fire Energy to benched or active. That's the question. You know what? Let's just put it on the bench because this guy will get knocked out. This Vulpix will get knocked out next turn, and I at least have something powered up for next turn. And I even draw, like, this is perfect. This is exactly what you want. Like, and I even hit a Hypnotoxic Laser. Let's see if my opponent stays asleep because that would be miraculous for me. And they do stay asleep, so that was very clutch. And this is looking like the perfect setup for this deck. I mean, I have 3 Vulpix out that can evolve into Ninetales, 2 Foongus to evolve into Amoonguss. I have a couple Level Ball in my hand. I have a Fire Energy. This is just absolutely perfect. And I finally am able to get this deck going. And if my opponent stays asleep, I do get the burn with my Houndoom Prime, if I'm able to get it up next turn, I will actually be able to hit for, I think, the maximum amount of damage that Hexed Flame is able to hit for, because my opponent... Never mind. Well, okay, there goes that. But what I am going to do is just go into my Vulpix with energy. My opponent already manually attached for the turn. That's why I'm not afraid of him, like, retreating back into his other Suicune and being able to knock me out. So I still think I'm fine. But I think the maximum amount of energy a Hexed Flame is able to hit for, without things like Iris, Silver Bangle, all that stuff, I think it caps out at 4, wait, is it? No, because Confusion and Sleep can't happen at the same time. So it caps out at 3, but that's exactly what this deck is designed to do, and wow, I get another Level Ball. That is beautiful. That is just ridiculously beautiful. I will be able to go ahead and go into my Ninetales. I think, yeah, I am going to go ahead and use the Bright Look to bring out my opponent's Suicune that has more energy on it. Level Ball for another, well, for an Amoonguss to go ahead and get some of the, go ahead and put a couple status conditions, Confused and Poison, and then Level Ball again, probably just for another Ninetales so that I can set it up for next turn. I don't, you know what, yeah, I am just going to play it. I'm not going to abuse the Bright Look. I know that's kind of, that you might be thinking, why would you do that? But, well, look at that. I even get, wow, that is perfect. I draw into my Houndoom. I'm going to go ahead and Devolution Spray my Amoonguss just because I have a Ninetales for Bright Look next turn. I am just going to go ahead and Hexed Flame, knock out the Suicune, and take my first prize. And this, finally, this is exactly how this deck is supposed to work. I mean, yes, I have gotten very, very fortunate in my draws, particularly because I've only gone through half my deck. And I've already drawn into all 4 Level Ball, which has allowed me to get everything out. And I drew into my Houndoom Prime, which you cannot get with a Level Ball. But see, this is the thing. Even Crushing Hammer can't hinder us too much because it only requires a single energy to attack. And that is just how powerful this deck can be if you're able to get it going. My opponent does grab a Hypnotoxic Laser, so it looks like this is like a... So it looks like this is a disruption version of... Yeah, it looks like this is a disruption version of Suicune and Sigilif. And my opponent plays Psychic Energy onto the Suicune. That is going to be my target. And the thing is, Devolution Spray actually will get rid of the Sleep and the Poison on my Ninetales, which is beautiful. And I think that's just what I'm going to do. Go ahead and get rid of Silver Bangle. I don't need that at all. And probably... Yeah, let's get rid of the Hypnotoxic Laser. I have everything I need for it. Grab the Devolution Spray. Go ahead and play that. Devolve my Ninetales back into Vulpix. Get rid of that status condition. That is beautiful. And then I think... Well, first thing, I'm going to play my Amoonguss. Hold on. So do I want to take out the Suicune first? Or do I want to take out the Suicune or do I want to take out the Sigilif? Well, obviously, I'm going to retreat into my Ninetales that's on the bench right now. I'm going to Bright Look. We'll evolve this Ninetales, Bright Look, bring in the Suicune that has energy on it. Then go ahead and Fire Breath, see if I get heads. Yes, I do, so Ninetales is now burnt. And then I'm going to go ahead play the Amoonguss down to Poison and Confuse it. And then for a single energy, I am hitting for a whopping 170 damage, and that is exactly how this deck is supposed to work. For a single energy, you are able to hit for massive amounts of damage that are able to one-shot a lot of EXs and a lot of the prevalent EXs in the Legacy format, apart from like Landorus and Darkrai and stuff like that. But even so, with the poison from that between turns, those guys will get knocked down anyway. So I mean, that was exactly how this deck is supposed to work. I didn't get to show off the prize trade by taking on any EX decks, but unfortunately, when you play around 20 Legacy matches and you're only able to get 3 good ones, you kind of just have to roll with it. So sorry guys that the matches weren't like ridiculously great. I mean, I was still able to get some good matches, don't get me wrong, but they were all kind of short, and only in one of the matches was I able to truly get set up. But still, try this deck out if you can. I think it's really fun. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.